West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yep. It's Friday night and I'm feeling right. Uptown Funk's gonna give it to ya. Uptown Funk's gonna give it to ya. Right. Yeah, I'm Machel St. Patrick here at One Half Caribbean Cricket Podcast, little quick live show ahead of the weekend. On a Monday, the first test match starts between New Zealand and West Indies. Santoki is still out of commission due to unforeseen circumstances. So there's no guarantee that Santoki and I will be able to do a test match preview ahead of that match starting on Monday. So I thought I best just get one. I better just chalk one up, do a little live one, little half an hour talking to the Caribbean Cricket audience, Caribbean Cricket Podcast audience about this upcoming test series. Obviously, it's 5 p.m. UK time, which isn't an ideal time to go live because most of you in the Caribbean, unless you're hiding from work, some of you might have this open on your work desktop right now, pretending to do work. And you've just got this open claiming that you're on a Teams call or something. I see you lot. I'll ring your boss right now and expose you. So big up those in the Caribbean who are pretending to do work right now, but they're watching Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Maybe some of you are on your lunch break and you're eating this in the cafeteria whilst hiding from the job of work, you know? And anybody else who's either in the UK on their way home, maybe you've been at home all day, or somewhere else in the world where you're actually ahead of us. Big up anybody who's locked in and tuned in. So what are we saying about this test series? Let me start off with this, actually. Let me start. And anyways, it's Friday, so you lot are allowed to pretend to work on a Friday. From about 1 o'clock on a Friday, no one ain't working anyways. Everyone's just counting down the hours until it's time to go home. But let me read this out to you lot. Since New Zealand made the World Test Championship final in 2021 in England when they beat India to become the World Test Championship World Test champions. I'm going to come back to that comment in a minute. This has been New Zealand's test results at home. New Zealand versus Bangladesh, draw 1-1. That was in 2021-2022. What's next? South Africa in New Zealand. New Zealand versus South Africa at home, draw 1-1. That was in 2021-2022. New Zealand versus England, draw 1-1. That was in 2022-2023. New Zealand versus Sri Lanka. New Zealand win that 2-0. That was in 2022-2023. If you're keeping count, that means they've only won 1 out of 4 test series that I've mentioned so far. New Zealand versus South Africa. New Zealand 2, South Africa 0. That was in 2023-2024. New Zealand versus Australia. New Zealand lost 2-0. That was in 2023-2024. New Zealand versus England. New Zealand lost 2-1. That was in 2024-2025. In New Zealand's last 7 test match series at home, they have only won 2 of them. Do you hear what I'm saying? In their what time is it in New Zealand right now? Let me see. What time is it in New Zealand right now? Let me see if any of them men are watching this on their burner phone right now on their burner account. Let me wake them up. Let me see what time is it in New Zealand right now? 6 o'clock in the morning. So some of you men are awake right now. I know some of the players and coaching staff saw Caribbean Cricket Podcast was going live, and you're on your burners right now. You're up at 6 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep, and you're like, boy, it's too early to go down for breakfast in the hotel. Let me see what's going on my phone. So some of you are watching this on your burners right now. Did you hear what I just said? In New Zealand's last 7 test match series at home, they've only won 2 of them. West Indies, we got to take them there. We got to take them there. We will never get a better chance in our down bad era to win a test match in New Zealand. We've got to take them there. I'm not asking you to win the test series. That's beyond us. But we got to take them there. We got 3 test matches to try and win one. People, sometimes people say that, Mash, you're always talking down on the team and you're always criticizing. People, we're going to win one test match. We're going to win one test match on this tour. Listen to what I'm saying. We are going to win one test match on this tour. We're not winning the test series. I ain't that stupid. We're going to win one of these test matches. On God, we're going to win one. We're going to win one. You lot rarely see me go into any series in any format with confidence. I'm telling you all now, we are going to win one of these test matches against New Zealand. I started the year saying we were going to go 0-10. I said Pakistan would sweep us, Australia would sweep us, India would sweep us, and New Zealand would sweep us. Santoki said we'd win at least one test match. So Santoki got his test match win in Pakistan. We got our one for the year. But I'm saying we can take New Zealand there, people. We're going to take them there. Even without Shamar Joseph and Alzari Joseph, I think we're going to take them there. Someone record this right now and play it back when we've lost 3-0 in the test series. Play it back to me. Play it back to you when we lost 3-0. But seriously, New Zealand at home in test matches is no longer a fortress. We shouldn't be going into this test series against New Zealand thinking that they're unbeatable. We shouldn't be treating it like it's we shouldn't be treating it like it's forbidden territory. And on the whole, I should point out, and the reason why we should be treating it as forbidden territory is, on the whole, when I did the interview with Ramesh about understanding conditions in New Zealand, I pointed out to Ramesh, and I'm sure the statisticians know this, we have been rubbish in New Zealand even when we were good. Okay, so, and I think it's worth pointing that out, because you lot know how I feel about the uncles in West Indies cricket. I think they're responsible for the downfall of West Indies cricket, a lot of them, right? And when we go on to lose this series, the inevitable conversation is going to be, you see, Daren, Sammy, narrative. Cool. That's going to be the inevitable conversation. And they're going to treat it as if we've been winning in New Zealand. If you go and study our record in New Zealand as a entity, even when we were good, even in the 80s, when we were good, we rarely won in New Zealand, right? So don't let people try and gaslight you if we go on to lose in New Zealand, lose this test series. Not even comprehensively, just if we go on to lose this test series 3-0, don't let people try and gaslight you and try and make it seem like we've always been winning in New Zealand. We didn't even win in New Zealand when we were good, when we were world class, when we were the best team in the world, and that was incontrovertible and undeniable. We still struggled to win in New Zealand. So don't let these people gaslight you at the end of the tour. Somebody said to me the other day, they said to me in a WhatsApp group the other day, West Indies performances under Daren Sammy are unacceptable. And do you know what? There's an argument to be made. There's some evidence. You can find evidence if you want to try and argue that point. But I said to the person in response, I said, do you know that when we last played a full format tour against New Zealand in 2017, 2018, we won 0 matches across all of the formats put together? Because there is a narrative that people are there's a narrative that people are peddling in West Indies cricket, where they want you to believe that once upon a time we were good and we've only just turned ship. We didn't win a match in New Zealand on our last full format tour. Not in T20s, not in ODIs, not in tests. This tour's already, and nobody wants to admit this. No one wants to admit this, but let me be the first to say it. This tour has been one of our most competitive tours in New Zealand ever. Ever. Put that in, like, probably, even when we were good, this tour has probably been, it's probably in our top 3-4 most competitive series in New Zealand ever. We lost the T20s 3-1, but easily could have won it 3-1. We lost the ODIs 3-0, but easily could have won that 2-1 with 2 games going down to the final over. That's not me running interference, because again, some of you don't understand nuance. That's not me running interference for anyone, but that is me spouting facts. This has actually been one of our most competitive series in New Zealand. Nobody wants to hear it, but it's facts. It's facts. So I go into this test series, believe it or not, with a slight bit of confidence. Confidence that we can at least be, for a start, I'm confident in this test series that we can be competitive. Maybe saying that we'll win one test match is a stretch. But put it this way, if we won one test match out of the 3, I wouldn't be surprised. It's more likely that we're going to lose 3-0, but I wouldn't be surprised if we won at one of, not more than one of the 3 test matches. I think they've certainly got it within their locker to be able to pull off a shot. So let's talk about the squad. Obviously, there was a warm-up game earlier this week. If I'm honest with you lot, like, I watched some of it, but if I'm honest with you lot, I couldn't I didn't care. Like, sometimes people put too much emphasis on cricket that isn't relevant, if you see what I mean. Now, obviously, it's a tour match, so it's stupid of me to say it's not relevant, but the quality of the opposition we were playing, if you actually bothered to look up the quality of the opposition we were playing, these were like literally average club cricketers. Barely any of them, man, had real first-class cricket behind them. It was the equivalent of playing your average club team just in any random country. It was not a first-class cricket match, right? And this is why sometimes when I hear some West Indies fans, when they message me or when they say, my man scored 80 something in the tour match, and I'm thinking, so last time we toured New Zealand, Daren Bravo scored a double century before the test match. He didn't score any runs in the test series. So I don't care what. I'm glad we had a tour match, but let's call it what it was. It was a glorified net, right? That doesn't mean it's not useful for miles and getting mileage into your legs and match prep, right? And call it match fitness maybe, but don't try and pretend we beat someone. I know there wasn't a winner, but you know what I mean? Don't try and pretend like someone significant was beaten down into a pulp. So I hear that Tej scored 88. I hear that Brandon scored 79 and John scored 68 and Kavem scored an unbeaten 55. I hear that Johan Lane took 3 wickets and Kavem Hodge took 2 and Jamel Warrican took 2. I hear all that, but I'm not reading too much into that vis-a-vis the test match selection, if you see what I mean. And I guess what it all depends on is what Sammy's selection for the test match, the first test on Monday, should really be about. Obviously, he's got to think about his the squad composition, right? And who's playing what role, and so on and so forth, right? Actually, good point here from D Major. Graves, it looks like Graves may have possibly picked up an injury. We don't know yet. Time will tell on that. Certainly, I've heard nothing out of the camp. They're probably keeping that close to their chest if that is the case. So I won't really go into that because we just don't know. But Sammy already knows what role he wants from the different players, right? In the team. So what he should be looking at isn't so much how many runs did anyone get or how many wickets anybody got. You're more looking for the intangibles, like how confident does someone look? What's their body language saying? That's more important to me than how many wickets or runs that they took. How mentally locked in are they to the task at hand? That's more important to me than how many runs or wickets they took. So, for example, right, so this is a good point from Machel. Machel says the only thing I was concerned about is that Roach looked very rusty. Right, yes, so Roach, I think, bowled 10 overs, 1 for 50, right? I'm not too concerned by 10 overs, 1 for 50. All I want to know is what Machel said there. How rusty does Roach feel in, how much in rhythm is he? But that to me doesn't correlate necessarily to how many runs he went for. That's more about the coaching staff when they looked at Roach running in, how good was his rhythm? Because you can go for runs, but you're still good in and of yourself, right? So how good was his rhythm looking? Because sometimes a man can take 3-2 wickets, but you've taken 3-2 wickets to a long hop or a half volley. Does that mean that suddenly you're ready for the highest level? Do you see what I mean? So that's why sometimes I don't pay too much attention to who took the most wickets, and therefore that means they must be getting selected. There's got to be a few more intangibles in place than that. And similarly, the guys were batting against some club net bowlers, so it's not enough to just say, well, Tay scored 88, so he's ready to score 88 against the New Zealand Test side. I'd like to believe they were looking at some deeper intangibles than that. For what it's worth, in terms of the first test, I think I said it on the call-in show on Monday, whenever I did that call-in show. For what it's worth, I am assuming the team is going to be as follows, if everyone is fit. John Campbell, Tay Shandapur. Who are they going to put at 3? Okay, here's my team. John Campbell, Tay Shandapur. They're definitely opening. King or Athanaze is number 3. King or Athanaze. And before anyone says to me, Mash, how can you possibly say King or Athanaze? Surely it's Athanaze. This is when I go back to the things like intangibles. If they believe that Brandon King is better against pace, he will play instead of Athanaze. If they believe that King's down badness in limited overs cricket has discombobulated him in red ball cricket as well, then he won't play, right? And they'll go to Athanaze. But if you're asking me who is the better player of pace, it's probably King. So it all depends for me about how are they treating this. Is it about conditions? Is it about who performed in the warm-up match? Is it about intangibles that we don't see? So I think it's King or Athanaze at 3. Hope is at 4. Hodge is at 5. Chase is at 6. Graves, if he's fit, is at 7. Imlak is at 8. And then it's 3 bowlers. Now, here's the other. So I think there's only 2 real talking points for me. If you're forcing Imlak into the team, because I think most people are of the opinion that Shai shouldn't take the gloves and he should just concentrate on batting in Test cricket. I'm not bothered either way, right? But let's just say because he scored a century in India without the gloves, let's assume, therefore, that it makes sense that Shai doesn't have the gloves for the Test match, right? And Imlak takes it. So then it's about how many frontline bowlers do you want? Now, also, this is what complicates things. If Graves is injured, then they're going to play the extra frontline bowler, right? So Imlak will go to 7, and then you're going to play probably your 4 pacers. I am not expecting Jamel Warrican to play. I'm expecting Chase to be the solitary spinner, right? But let's say Graves is fit. The question you have to ask yourself is it Graves and 3 frontline pacers, or is it that Chase, Graves, and Imlak all move up 1, and Hodge, Athanaze, and King are all fighting for 1 spot, and therefore you're then playing 4 frontline pacers? So after me saying, "Oh, the team writes itself," there's actually a few little subplots and questions that you have to ask yourself. Me personally, because I'm so wary that we can't bat, I would rather play Imlak at 8 and have 3 frontline pacers, Graves as your backup guy as the 4th one, and then Chase as your frontline spinner. Some will say, Mash, that's not enough bowlers to take 20 20 New Zealand wickets. And I hear that argument. But if we played 4 frontline pacers, let's say they played Phillip, Roach, Seals, Lane. I don't want my batting or my tail end, and I know people are going to say, Mash, Anderson Phillips scored runs in India. I don't want my tail to start at 8. Not for West Indies, I don't. So I'd rather only have 3 frontline pacers, Graves as the backup guy, Graves and Chase basically being the backups to 3 frontline pacers. But I wouldn't be shocked if it was 4, but I just wouldn't want my tail starting at 8 personally. That's my view on the situation, right? So that then means that you're looking at King and Afanase battling for one spot. I think Hodge is definitely playing no matter what. I think Hodge is coming back into the team and is probably slotting in at 5 or 4. Hodge is a lock-in for me. They didn't bring Hodge back to not play. So Hodge is going to play. It's just about King or Afanase for me in my particular side. So that's how I see it. That's how I see it. Can that side win a test match? Yeah, I actually think it can. John Campbell and Shai Hope go into this test series with confidence, right? You've just scored 100 in India. Granted, India are shit, but they did just score 100 in India in overseas conditions. So they're coming into this series with confidence, right? Surely between the rest of the guys, Chase, Hodge, Graves, King, Afanase, Tage, etc., even Imlak, let's throw Imlak in, even though Imlak ain't really got any runs to speak of yet, right? Can that batting lineup compete against New Zealand? Yes, they should be able to. The question I've got is, without both Josephs, can our bowling compete against New Zealand? That's the only question mark for me. I know Seals will do his thing, but do we trust, because Roach might not even play, do we trust the backup cast of Phillip and Lane? I'm not even including Roach yet, because I don't even know if Roach is even getting in ahead of Phillip and Lane. Do we believe the backup cast can support Jaden Seals? And what happened in India? It wasn't so much that Seals didn't perform in India. It's that Seals didn't have a bowling partner in India. So when Seals was being asked to bowl in India, it almost felt like, like on a football pitch when you've got one star player and you're like, you're the X Factor guy, just try create something out of nothing. But in cricket, your bowlers need to bowl in partnerships. And Seals didn't really have a partnership bowler at any point in the India series, which is probably why I would be bowling. That's probably why I would be playing Roach alongside him. Bowlers have to bowl in a partnership. And I just think that Seals needs Roach there. Seals can't be the guy carrying 2 inexperienced guys. It should be Roach and Seals as the bowling partnership. They know each other's games inside out. Roach is obviously the locker room leader, experienced guy, and then they can then mentor. If it's Lane. If it's Phillip, it's Phillip. Right? That's how they probably should go about it. But who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? Who knows? And then it's about how much do you believe that bowling attack can take 20 New Zealand wickets? That's the big question mark here. No matter who you be, you have to admit and have to agree that without Alzari and Shamar, we're at least 50% weaker with the ball, at least. So regardless, you're asking a lot of the bowling attack. So we shall see. So I'm not particularly worried about the batting. I'm also worried about the bowling. And if they can perform regularly enough. So we shall see. There's a couple of questions I wanted to bring up. Here we go. Unrelated, but does Dr. Shallow have to step down as the president, seeing that he won his seat and his party will form the government? Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Ralph Gonzalez, is that how you actually say surname? I always get it wrong. He was basically an elective dictator in politics. I teach politics. I teach politics A level, right? When we believe that a democracy is acting like a dictatorship, we call it an elective dictatorship. So Ralph has been in power in Vinci for so long that it might as well be an elective dictatorship. Anyways, he just got voted out of power in Vinci. Is the opposition party called the NDP? NDP, I think it's like the National Democratic Party or something. If there's any Vinci people in the chat, they can correct me. So for those of you who don't know, so what's the president's name now? What's his name again? Oh, I can't remember his name. I tweeted about it this morning. So the new leader, the new leader of St. Vincent is I was about to say Jeffrey. It's not Jeffrey. Can't remember the man's name. Let me find it, people. The new leader of St. Vincent, Godwin. That's it. Godwin Friday, right? So his party has just taken over in St. Vincent. And for those who don't know, so the Vinci people are saying it's Gonzalez. Anyways, Kishore Shallow ran to be member of parliament in one of the districts in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Kishore won his seat easily, and the Democratic Party won the elections by a landslide. I think they've taken basically 90% of all of the wards in Vinci, right? So now Kishore Shallow is a member of parliament in Vinci, and he's the president of Cricket West Indies. What I am expecting to do, I'm going to reach out to Kishore for comment. What I might do is I'll reach out to Kishore privately and get him to give me an answer off the record. I suspect Kishore will say to me, I can't go public on this yet. So I'll just say to Kishore, what's your answer off the record? Which means I can't share it with you lot. But I will reach out to Kishore. But what I suspect is going to happen is as follows. Kishore would only have run to be a member of parliament in Vinci if he believes that serving his nation is of more importance than serving the Caribbean. And I don't blame him if that's the decision that he's made. Anyways, now he's in government. There is no way that this guy can run Cricket West Indies and serve and be a good member of parliament and serve his constituents properly. You can't do both. So if I'm Kishore Shallow, I'm standing down. So I'm expecting within the next month to hear that Kishore Shallow, possibly even within the next 2 weeks, I'm expecting to hear that he has stood down as the president of Cricket West Indies. I'm expecting a formal statement where he says that due to conflict of interest and due to his desire to make sure that he does his job properly as a serving member of parliament in the Vinci and Grenadines government, he has no choice but to stand down as president of Cricket West Indies. Cool. No issue with that whatsoever. Couple uncles around the region will rejoice because they're convinced that everything that's gone wrong on the pitch is Kishore's problem. Then what will happen is as follows. I suspect that Azim Bazaraf, as vice president, would be interim president. I do not want Bazaraf anywhere near the presidency of Cricket West Indies on any long-term basis. I don't care if he's watching this. I don't care if he's vexing me saying that. Impossible for Bazaraf to be president of Cricket West Indies. Not when you've been catching so many cases and not when there's so much scrutiny about your dealings in Trinidad. Impossible for you to be president of Cricket West Indies. You know the saying, dance a yard before you dance abroad. He needs to be focusing on that. So impossible that Bazaraf can take over, right? I spoke to a colleague of mine earlier today, and he said to me that the most likely thing to happen would be that Chris Daren, who's currently the CEO, would take over as interim president whilst because remember, Kishore just won a 3-year term. So if Kishore stands down, he's stood down about 6 months into a 3-year term. So they would what? Like, how does that work then? They don't necessarily have to hold a next. I don't know what the Cricket West Indies constitution says. Does that mean they have to hold elections again? Let me tell you something. I'm going to stand for president. How about that? If there is an election, if Kishore stands down and there is an election for president of Cricket West Indies, I'm standing for president. I don't business. And I'm being deadly serious. I'm standing for president. Obviously, I'm not expecting to stand for president because I expect to win. I'm standing for president just so I can have the platform to say what needs to be said. I'm gonna stand as an independent candidate, and start making noise. Start reaching out to all of the media stations in the Caribbean and say, I want to stand as an independent candidate for Cricket West Indies. And I wouldn't get anywhere, but it would give me a soapbox to just cuss out everything and everyone and put everything on blast. That's what now needs to happen. Kishore standing down gives an opportunity for someone independent to just shout from the hilltops and put everyone on blast, lose, but they almost need to be the sacrificial lamb. They need to be the sacrificial lamb to really air the dirty business out and then peace out when they lose. But it then means that whoever then does win has to address the issues that have been aired in public. So I'm willing to stand as an independent candidate and play the sacrificial lamb role, just to make sure that the next president is then has to stand on business and can't come run Cricket West Indies as some puppy show. So that's how I see it. Pan Rebel says, if Mash stands for Cricket West Indies is president, then Daren Sammy will be head coach and chief selector for life. Nah, not really. I think we should go back to split head coaches, actually. So yeah. Actually, I'm writing an article on this at the moment about I'm writing an article for the Caribbean Cricket News website on insularity in the Caribbean. But anyways, you're probably thinking, how does that relate to Daren Sammy? But I've been noticing things. And I think at the heart of some of the stuff that's going on in the cricket right now, in terms of a lot of the voices talking, I think insularity is at the heart of a lot of this. Yeah. So anyways, if you haven't read it, there is an article on Caribbean Cricket News. I dropped it last night, I think late last night, UK time, on Shai Hope. And basically the crux of that article is me basically arguing that Shai Hope is the greatest ODI player we've ever had. So I might do a video on it. I think I'm going to do a video on it. But I did a lot of kind of research into that. And I think the stats and the numbers stand up. I think they really stand up. I think Shai is actually our greatest. Sorry. If he's not yet the greatest ODI player we've ever had, by the time he retires, he will definitely be the greatest ODI player we've ever had. Did you know that so Shai is currently 7th in the run scorers list in ODI cricket? Listen to these stats, right? Shai is currently 7th in our run scorers list. Shai has got to 7th place, having only played 148 ODI games. Remember that Gayle is number 1 and Lara is number 2. Gayle played 298 games. Lara played 280 something. Hope has got to the top 7 in just 148 games. Viv played 180 odd, and he's about 600 runs ahead of Shai, right? And then when you look at the list of the top 10, only 2 players in the top 10 have compiled their ODI runs at a better strike rate than Shai Hope. One is Chris Gayle, naturally, and the other one is Viv, right? They're the only 2 players that have compiled their runs at a better strike rate than Shai Hope. But Shai Hope has got to where he's got in quicker, not even in quicker time. Yeah, but actually basically in quicker time. I think him and Viv are tied level to get to 6,000 runs. Shai has done it in 1 game more than Viv. So by the time Shai retires, I think he will be our greatest ever ODI player. I don't think people realize how good this guy is, you know. And because this is the problem, some people have confused the fact that Shai plays for a team that's shit and therefore think that means it denigrates Shai's stats. But what I tried to argue was, if what Shai was doing was so straightforward, why does no one else in the region come remotely close to what he's doing? Not even remotely. It's also because Shai's not played the World Cup since 2019. So I think Santoki made this point, because Shai doesn't play World Cups because our team's too crap to qualify for them. His stats and his achievements are just going under the radar. But also, I can't remember if I said this in the article, or did I say in the video I did on Nicholas Puran? If you haven't watched the video that I've done on Nicholas Puran, go watch that video, right? So check this out, and I stand by this. So I stand by it, so I'm saying it again. When Nicholas Puran, and because they're roughly the same age, Shai's 32, Nicholas is 30. When Shai Hope and Nicholas Puran retire, who are we going to remember more, Shai Hope or Nicholas Puran? Answer that question in the comments. Who is cricket going to remember more, Shai Hope or Nicholas Puran? Now, my argument is cricket will remember Shai Hope before they remember Nicholas Puran, because they will see his international runs as real legacy runs. Cricket ain't at any point where we care about what a man did exclusively in franchise cricket. They will see Hope's ODI runs as, you were a real player, a proper player. You did it at the highest level consistently. Real men. That's how they'll remember Shai Hope when he finally retires. So anyways, that's why I wrote a piece on him. If you haven't read it, go read it. Shai Hope, our greatest player to ever do it, irrespective of era. I think he'll end up as the greatest to do it in ODI cricket. Don't sleep on that guy. So yeah, actually, and the other stat I mentioned about Hope, in the last 3 years in ODI cricket, Shai has compiled his runs at a strike rate of 93 across the last 3 years. To put that in perspective, that's better than Vivian Gale. If his career was just based on those last 3 years, like, I don't think people realize what this guy is doing. Like, fam, it's basically Shai. Basically, is Hayley Matthews, but for our ODI side. Like, so you know how we all understand and accept that Hayley Matthews is basically all the way up there and the rest of the women's team is down there. That's Shai to the rest of our team in ODI cricket. It's literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Big up Barbados, I guess. Right. So yeah, so I think that's it, really. I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to do this video. I'm just coming up to the 40-minute mark. Test series ahead. Like I say, you lot let me know if I'm crazy. Some of you are watching this on the replay. I'm saying that I believe that West Indies can win one test match. Am I crazy for saying that? Am I crazy? I don't. I've been thinking about it for the last 48 hours. I think we can win one test match. If our put it this way, if our bowling turns up, okay, let me caveat it. If our bowling turns up in this test series, I think we are good enough to win one test match. It's all dependent on the bowling. The only question mark I've got in my head is, without the Josephs in the team, do we have enough firepower in that bowling to take 20 New Zealand wickets? But if the bowling turns up for one test match, just one, I think we'll win the test match. But that's the big question mark for me. But the expectation, of course, is a 3-0 defeat. And I would not be surprised if it was a 3-0 defeat. And if it is a 3-0 defeat, I'm really not here for the people who are inevitably going to say, it's Sammy's fault. Like, you can already hear them because they're so monotonous with it. Like, they have no other line of argument. I actually think a lot of people who do the Sammy thing now are just doing it because it gets traction. But I do just want to remind people, the last full format tour of New Zealand, we won 0 games across the whole tour. And in general, if you go and look at West Indies' record in New Zealand from Jesus's time to now, we have never really done well in New Zealand. Even when we were the best team in the world, we weren't doing well in New Zealand. So I'm really not here for the pretense that when we lose in New Zealand, that it's something that's absolutely beyond the pale. We've been doing that for the last 30 years in New Zealand, even longer, because it goes back to the 80s. For the last 50, 45 years, we've been taking licks in New Zealand. So please don't try and treat this as anything new. The Great Bizzle says, everyone's always blaming coaches. Even Indians are blaming Gambir for their defeat against South Africa. Yeah, but Gambir deserves to be blamed, respectfully. Because Gambir's, it's not like Gambir's coaching West Indies. Gambir's got, remember, the Indian team has everything at their disposal. They've got all the money in cricket. They've got all the attention, all the resources. The Indian players have no excuses to be shit. We have excuses. West Indies, we have genuine excuses to be shit because every single one of our players in the region is basically shit. So we have excuses, right? India don't have an excuse. So Gambir, of course, he's got to catch pelters. Man's taken a 2-0 L in his own ends, in his own conditions against South Africa. He's taken a 3-0 L in his own ends, in his own conditions against New Zealand, where you have no excuses. Coach has got, in that situation, the coach has to catch pelters. He got to be pelted with rotten mango and all sorts because there's no excuses. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. Anyways, I don't really care, to be fair. I mean, Machel say Patrick here with the Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You done know already. On the way out, like, share, subscribe. Yeah, you can also support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast by becoming a patron. www.patreon.com/Caribbean Cricket. Every little bit helps and counts. As we go into the new year, got some big plans, big ideas about CCP, etc. What's coming up on the horizon? Santoki and I are supposed to record something on Sunday, provided everything goes well. With Santoki, he's got, like I say, he's got to attend to some stuff. So if he's free, we will record something on Sunday. On Monday, the first test match, I might be able to do a watch along, but I'm going to a gig, so I don't know. By the time I get back from the gig, I might just go to my bed. But I'll definitely do a watch along for the second day of the test match, possibly the third as well. And then I've got a few guests that I'm lining up to come on the show. I don't know yet if that's going to be next week, but I've definitely got 2 guests at least lined up to come on the show. So look out for that as well. I don't want to give away what we're going to be discussing because other shows will just copy it, innit? So so look out for that stuff coming up, etc., etc. Also, and I've also got a Patreon only episode coming up, but you lot won't see that because patrons will see it. So I've got patrons only episode coming up as well. So if you're a patron, look in for that. I'll drop that in the Patreon page as well. So look out for that stuff, people. I'll be Machel St. Patrick, one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Enjoy your weekend. West Indies under 19s are playing tomorrow against England. They can seal the series with a win. And it's the Super 50 final. Sorry, I should mention that. Super 50 final tomorrow. Trinidad and Tobago versus Barbados. Super 50 has been an absolute farce this year. Bare games washed out. Over half of the tournament washed out. So Trinidad and Barbados will play the final tomorrow. It's Jason Mohammed's last ever list day game for Trinidad. So maybe 200 Trinis will turn up to watch that final. So we'll lock in for that Super 50 final as well. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here. We'll have a Caribbean Cricket Podcast. See you all very, very soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket.